The Dallas Cowboys defense has reached a crisis point. Once a feared unit, it's now sitting near the bottom of the NFL, and fans everywhere are debating whether drastic changes are needed, including whether Matt Eberflus should stay or go. I want to know what you think. Should the Cowboys fire Matt Eberflus? Drop a yes or a no in the comments right now. Your opinion could spark the biggest discussion of the week. Before we dive deeper into the full breakdown, make sure you're subscribed to the channel, hit that like button, and don't forget to press the bell icon so you never miss a single Cowboys update. Now, let's get into the numbers. There is at least one bright spot: the run defense. Dallas has improved from near the bottom of the league to middle of the pack, 17th in yards per game and an impressive 3.7 yards allowed per carry. Stuff rate is top 10, and yards before contact are 7th, showing they're winning more battles at the line of scrimmage than before. But that improvement has come at a price. The pass defense is collapsing. The Cowboys are 31st in passing yards allowed per game, giving up a staggering 9 yards per attempt, 31st in EPA per play, and 27th in success rate. They're also 25th in time to pressure and 27th in sack rate, a combination that simply doesn't win games. Overall, they sit 30th in total yards allowed per game. So the big question remains: can Dallas fix the secondary and pass rush without blowing everything up, or is a coaching change inevitable? We're breaking that down next. Right now the Cowboys' defense isn't just struggling, it's setting marks you almost never see in the modern NFL. They're 31st in yards per play, 31st in EPA per play, 28th in success rate, 28th in points allowed per game, and dead last on third downs. If that third down trend holds, it would be the worst performance in at least 2 decades. Improvement may come, but there's a huge difference between getting better and actually being fixed. So how likely is it that Dallas moves on from Matt Eberflus during the season? Mid-season firings in this organization are rare, and it's hard to picture a major shakeup only 3 games in. There's still an adjustment period for coaches and players alike, even if the results so far are painful to watch. That doesn't mean Eberflus is blameless. Fans are right to question things like soft coverages on third and short or curious personnel deployments. At the same time, the players themselves haven't executed well either. Blown coverages, missed jams, and biting on trick plays have all contributed to the disaster. Some of this is on the sideline, some of it is on the field. And if you do fire the coordinator now, there's the practical question: who calls the plays? Unless the team already has a clear replacement ready to step in, an abrupt change could make a shaky situation even worse. That's why, for now, the Cowboys appear to be holding off on any drastic mid-season moves, even as frustration mounts. Inside the Cowboys building, there's another big problem: there isn't a clear next man up on the current staff. There's no obvious defensive play caller ready to step in if Matt Eberflus were removed mid-season, and that makes any sudden change even riskier. None of this excuses the performance so far. It hasn't been good enough, and major adjustments are needed. But firing the coordinator is usually the team's last resort, a sign that everything has been lost or the locker room has tuned out. Through 3 games, that doesn't seem to be the case yet, which is why Dallas has been hesitant to act. It also simply isn't the Cowboys' style. This is the same organization that allowed Mike Nolan to coach out the entire season despite poor results. Still, the pressure on Eberflus is real. If he can't find answers soon, the franchise could be facing yet another defensive coordinator search in the offseason. The Cowboys' defensive scheme is breaking down on every level. Their heavy use of zone coverage simply isn't working, but the man-to-man snaps haven't been much better either. Opposing quarterbacks are carving them up with big plays, and receivers are finding space far too easily. It's a vicious cycle: the secondary can't hold its coverage for long, the pass rush isn't getting home quickly enough, and the longer plays develop, the worse the coverage gets. Early in the season Dallas had some success with 5-man pressure looks, but those blitzes have largely disappeared. When pressure does come, it's often late in the down and nowhere near as disruptive as it needs to be. This is especially glaring at defensive end. Many of the pressures being recorded are really the result of opposing quarterbacks holding the ball too long rather than true quick wins by Dallas pass rushers. Without consistent, early disruption up front, every weakness behind it is magnified, and right now that's exactly what's happening to this defense. The real question now is, who on this defense is actually getting to the quarterback? So far, the answer is almost no one. Dante Fowler hasn't been a factor since week 1, and while Neen has been solid against the run, he isn't generating pressure. Ezra flashes about once a week, but as a second-round rookie the team still has to be patient. Sam Williams has been disappointing, and the pass rush as a whole feels toothless. Ironically, the interior has held up better. Osa Odigizua, Kenny Clark, and Solomon Thomas have all done respectable work against the run, and Motzi and Jay have provided decent depth. But even Osa hasn't created the impact the Cowboys desperately need in the middle, and without consistent disruption up front the rest of the defense is collapsing. That lack of pressure puts every other unit in a bad spot. Linebackers like Kenneth Murray, Jack Sanborn, and Dion Clark have all taken turns looking lost. Overshone is still hurt, Shamar James can't get on the field, and the rotation lacks stability. In the secondary, injuries and underperformance have piled up. Darren Bland started strong but is now sidelined, Trayvon Diggs has had several rough games, Ka Elam has struggled, and although Reggie Stewart has been serviceable in the slot, the safety play has been disastrous. Malik Hooker and Donovan Wilson have been especially poor over the last 2 weeks, erasing any margin for error elsewhere. Right now, the defensive tackles are the only group approaching consistency, and that simply isn't enough to keep the Cowboys afloat. The Cowboys have even begun rotating new faces like Juan Thomas into the secondary, and honestly, that needs to continue. Being a captain doesn't grant immunity, every player has to be held accountable, and right now accountability seems to be missing across this defense. It isn't only on Matt Eberflus. The players share plenty of responsibility for blown assignments, poor technique, and missed tackles. Aside from the run defense holding up reasonably well, nearly every other area is crumbling. And if the pass defense keeps collapsing, opponents will soon start gashing Dallas on the ground as well. That's just how the league works. This unit needs major changes, not just in scheme but also in personnel. The front office can say it's an execution issue all day long, but the people executing are the players on the field. If they aren't getting it done, then personnel is part of the problem. Dallas can't keep trying to play, bend but don't break, while simultaneously giving up explosive plays and generating none of its own. You can sacrifice big gains if you're creating turnovers or sacks, or you can play soft and keep everything in front, but you can't fail at both. Right now, that's exactly what's happening, and unless it changes quickly, this team is headed for even deeper trouble. When it comes to potential replacements for Matt Eberflus, the Cowboys have a real dilemma. If they were to fire him during the season, there's no clear candidate on staff to take over defensive play calling. Andre Curtis, the passing game coordinator, has never run an entire defense and his unit is struggling. Dave Borgens coaches linebackers, but that group hasn't played well either. Aaron White-Cotton has done some decent work with the defensive line, but he's only ever coached that position at the NFL level. Beyond that, the remaining assistants are either too inexperienced or have never called plays at all. Mid-September is also a terrible time to bring in someone from the outside and overhaul a system on the fly. In other words, Dallas is effectively stuck with Eberflus for now. That could change if the locker room tunes him out completely or stops trusting the coaching staff. At that point, a move becomes unavoidable. But until that critical mass is reached, the Cowboys appear ready to ride it out, hoping adjustments can be made before the season slips away.